code, cloud, IT, and silly jokes. ITT.
Hey everyone,
Hello,
it's Dawid Chruścielski
Grzegorz Kotlarz.
and you're watching ITT episode about
Internal technology, rather how to set up it, how to host it, and how to deliver it for your internal team and us.
All right. So let's start with the screen share. And what we have here is the technology radar, the original one, the technology radar from ThoughtWorks. ThoughtWorks is a consultancy company, a bunch of smart people who are advising and making some consultancy services. And they came up with an idea of a technology radar, which is basically this, effectively. And what it does, it just shows
Some circles.
Exactly. So some circles with like one circle with different quadrants, with 4 quadrants. And in which of those you can see some kind of a technology tool set or methods, techniques, stuff like that, as you can see, like languages and frameworks and other stuff. And it's great, but it's for them. And you have here also 4 different regions in this radar, which is adopt, trial, assess, and hold, which means effectively do something like absolutely no-brainer. This is a good technology. Trial means, give it a go. It looks like something really, really promising. Assess is like, it's interesting, not yet proven everywhere, but you may consider that technology. And hold is like hold the door. Don't use that technology because of some reasons. It's obviously in a context, so it's not like don't use this technology at all, but don't use it in a specific context. Maybe it has fit somewhere, but don't use this in this particular context. Like absolutely proven way of mixing up something in your project. And this is all good, but it's public.
Just for them.
Exactly. That's just for them. That's what applies for them. You can learn a lot from that. It's really, really a good thing. Like, for example, I just seen GitHub Copilot, which I absolutely love. It's in Assess currently on their radar. I would put it probably a bit closer to the adopt window, closer to the core. But they also give you a chance to build your own technology radar, which is good, which is fine. And you can do that based on their repository. You can host that yourself as well. You can host that on their site, but then they can access your data for crawling and making their own statistics. And also you can host it in your environment, which is okay, which is fine. But to be honest, even though they came up with the idea, I'm not specifically a fan of their implementation of how it looks. So there is another company that came up. Well, to be honest, there are multiple different companies that debate their own versions. And one of the companies is AOE, whatever it stands for, to be honest, Technology Radar. And it is very, very nice technology radar that I've found, and I've hosted for myself as well. What it does, this tool, it's a Node.js app generator, CLI app, that can generate for you the technology radar based on markdown files, which is absolutely great because then you can have all of that in your repository, make a CI/CD pipeline for it. And that's what we are going to show, because then you can create a pull request, for example, with something new that you found and you think is, for example, a good thing to give it a go and assess this technology. And it also generates a static website. So static HTML files with JavaScript on it. What does it give us? Well, we can use, for example, Azure static web apps to host that. And what's great about it is there is a free tier offering from Microsoft in Azure for Azure Static Web Apps. So you can effectively host your Technology Radar for free.
Wow.
How it looks like, it's something like that. This is what they have. This is their Technology Radar. You can see it's version 6. There are different shapes. You can see what they mean here, like if it's unchanged, recently changed, new in this version. And it's all based on the static code that's already here. Why static? Because it's then easily searchable. So if you have your Technology Radar as a consultancy, for example, that's public, it's easier to index. Maybe you want it, to be found in Google. If you don't want, you can also, with static apps, you can hide your website behind the Active Directory, for example, with some rules for the routes.
It looks very nice.
It looks very nice. So let's see how we can build something like that ourselves. So first of all, I've already done it. I've created a new resource group. You actually created that resource group in your subscription for me. And right. I've created a new static web app. To create a static web app, you can just go into the marketplace, create a new static web app, blah, blah, blah. Give it a name. Quite
straightforward, I think.
Give it a name. And here you can see for hobby and personal projects, but nobody will tell me what I can use in production. So that can be my production Azure static website, and it's only available in a couple of...
It's not like the requirement, it's more like the recommendation from Microsoft. So
exactly.
Don't worry.
But it's for free, and you can select the region and also the source repository you are going to work with. I selected other because I've created my own pipeline, which I'll show you in a moment. So that's okay. Let's just drop this off, because then I would just hit create and it would be it. And here you can see we've got a static web app that we've created. Obviously, we should have like a custom domains, stuff like that. But this is what we have so far. And as you can see, it's customized, ITT Technology Radar, version 1, all good, all fine, blah, blah, blah. How does it look in the repository? So if I would go to my personal website, that's how I named it, because I will create a static blog probably, rather than the WordPress one, because I've noticed somebody tries to log into that all the time. With static website, it won't be possible to log in, even for me. So what we have here is the static web app configuration, just a fallback. A fallback is just a navigation fallback for the radar. So if somebody hits an endpoint that's not achievable, it will still go to this website, like test/index HTML. It's not existing. It falls back to the main index. I don't know why it doesn't display the JavaScript then, but it goes to the default. It can go to 404 not found, something like that. You can create that website for you. It's okay. Then if I would go back here, you can see I've got a package.json. That's something that I've built myself because I want to be able to build it locally as well. And I have this build command in here in this package.json in the scripts. We need to set up the custom name for that. That's the app name as React environment variable, because the app is written in React. Then we build the radar. Then we generate the JSON. The JSON means the file that has all the data inside that we fed from the markdown files, which we'll show in a moment. And then at the end, we just build the static content, which are those static HTML files. And I've also added watch, so I can refresh it for myself quite easily when I develop that locally. And a start. So just 3 dependencies, just 3 def dependencies, because then it's just pure HTML. We don't need any dependencies for the app itself. Pure HTML with JavaScript. Yeah, that's true, because it's a React app, but Azure Static Web Apps will support that easily. And I've just gave a credit to those people, obviously, because worth it. And in here, you can see another directory, and in this directory, we've got for each of this technology of this, they call it a bleep, as far as I remember, we have different files, markdown files. If I would go here, you can see we need to specify some stuff for the generator itself. If I go into row, you'll see how it looks like that. So just a title, ring, where we put it, quadrant, and tags. And for automapper, for example, we found that it's not the best approach. We do not recommend to use automapper because it like hides dependencies in the code. How do we do the mappings? Because it's all based on the conventions, which is sometimes good, but I found it not to be the best practice, to be honest. Or claim check pattern, when to use it and stuff like that. And a reference to Microsoft documentation about the claim check pattern because it's more rich. Here's only a quick description that anyways I generated from GitHub Copilot. So, and we need to put that in a date, more of the in a directory with a name of a date, specific date, and more of that of it. Why it's like that, we'll tell in a moment. And there's also the public directory in which we can customize some of the stuff. So if I would go here to favicon, you'll see this is the favicon that I have, and logo, which is this ITT logo as well. That's it. If I would go here, you can see there is a lot of stuff that can be customized, starting from the name that I've provided in the build parameters, as you could see before, to stuff like quadrants. You can define your own quadrants if you don't like track languages and frameworks because you have defined languages already. You can just track, I don't know, like NuGet libraries and frameworks. Maybe you don't want to track, I don't know, tools, maybe something else instead of that. So you can always customize that as well as the rings. Tagging, very nice thing, because then in this technology radar you can filter by those tags, so it's worth to use them as well.
That's very nice.
And you've got search, obviously, and technologies overview, and it's all like that, as you can see. What's also nice, how to use the technology radar, and you can see all the descriptions, what that is and how it looks, and it all can be also customized, obviously, and the fonts, the styles, colors, all of that can be customized, the social media links, and the help page with explanations. As you can see, it's in the messages JSON file that will just override. So the
one you showed is the default one, and you can customize each
exactly
part of that.
Yes. Okay, that's all good. We have this, and how to deploy that into our static web app, because we've seen it's working, it's all good. So I've created a GitHub action, and this GitHub action is, if I go here in the GitHub workflows directory of the repository, and just radar YML or YAML. And in this YAML file, on push, on the main branch, we run the build radar. I tend to have two separate jobs for build and deployments usually, because I like to see the artifact, what has been built, check it out maybe in the build, in the action. So I tend to do that kind of stuff, and it's super simple, as you can see. All we do is like we check out the code, then we set up the Node.js environment, install all the dependencies, run the command, the build command, which we've shown already, with the working directory of radar, because as you can see, it's in the subdirectory in here. So we change the working directory. Then we copy the static web app config JSON to that build, because that's what I did for now. Yes. And then we upload the artifact. Upload meaning like we create this artifact in GitHub Actions to be able to share between the jobs if somebody is not familiar with it. And in the second job, which depends on the previous job because it needs the build radar to execute initially. It also runs on Ubuntu in this case, and we download that artifact to our root directory of this job, and we use a specific GitHub action, which is Azure Static Web App Deploy version 1. All we need to provide
the one from Microsoft.
Yes, it's the official one from Microsoft. All we need to do in here is just provide the static web app API token. And because I've already built the app, I skipped the build because it could build the application for me as well, but I've decided not to do that. I prefer to have the control over what's happening and how do I build the app.
But if you want to simplify that, you can easily just use one step with
two steps actually, because you need to check out the code.
Yeah, check out.
And then you can use that and it will automatically build the app for you. But to be honest, I just prefer that because I am planning to build more apps and deploy multiple sites to the same static web app. That's my end goal. But for now, just that. There's no API. However, it's worth to mention that in static web apps, you can also host Azure functions underneath. And the static website, the front end, will have access to that backend functions in that free tier, even from what I remember. So, well, to be honest, that needs to be checked because I haven't deployed those functions. But you can have API location and you can call the Azure functions from the front end. So you got like a fully functional website. Like, let's say, I don't know, like a sign up form or something like that, or newsletter form on your blog. You can always put it into table storage.
Static, but not fully.
But not exactly, yeah. Not entirely, yeah. So this looks like that, and it's super simple. We can go to actions here and see that, oh, I did something 2 hours ago, updated the quadrant, and I've made some changes. Which is okay. You can create the pull request to that, stuff like that. So let me make a push. I already have some something prepared in the background. So if I would just refresh, I already made a commit 36 minutes ago, but I just pushed it. So it's like that. And as you can see, added new version and the pipeline is running. Let me check what I've added. So I've added a couple of new things in a new directory. So 2023 and then like next day after what was there before. And as you can see, I've moved, I added some new tools, 2 tools and one language and framework. I added C# because I like it, and Backstage from Spotify and SonarQube. That is copied from AOE Technology Radar, so don't bother. Just to show the point. And if I would go here to the action, you'll see it already run and the radar is building. So if I would go here, you'll see that I've installed all the dependencies for that. Now the build is going, then it will copy the file.
While it's building, could you show the repository code once again? Because I'm wondering what you added is the new, your repository, how it looks after adding the new version. So if you're on the radar, you have the new directory here. And what you added to the new version is just the new things which will come to your radar. You don't need to copy all of the previous ones to keep them in the radar. I mean, is the incremental update, or how is it working?
You'll see in a moment. But let me do one more thing then, which is like super good to show, but I don't want to add too much yet. So let's just wait a second and we'll create another directory. Let me do that in the background, be in the meantime when the build is in progress and the release is in progress. And we'll be back in a moment. Okay, we are back in the business with our deployment already done. And if I will go here, you'll see that it all completed. The build was skipped. We just have... Oh, this is just pulling up the container because it's doing that in the container. So that's built for the container. Then it runs the action and it deploys the function, and not the function, the Azure static website. And as you can see, using static websites config.json for configurations, so routes JSON will be ignored. It also shows how many files we've deployed somewhere. It was somewhere in here, but it zipped the artifacts, deployed that, the run action, downloads, total files, blah, blah, blah. All looks good. So that's how it went through. We can check out the summary again. We can see it all went okay, and the run is basically here. If I would go here to the code, this is this secondary one that we've shown before, and if I would refresh that website now, you can see it's version 2 of our technology radar.
The new version.
And that new technology that we added, the C# and SonarQube and Backstage, are triangles, so it means those are new in the version. And this is also shown in here. So if I would...
and they are as unchanged.
And the rest is
right?
unchanged, yes.
The rest, okay.
And if I would go here to the C#, you see it's still described, blah, 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 all good. So now let me do one more change, the last change for today, which is I've moved the Backstage from trial to adopt, or from assess to adopt, from trial probably to adopt. And I wrote that it is proven to be super good already. So that will update our site as well.
And did you add the new version, or did you just update the markdown you had in your repository?
Yes, so it's another directory, another version, and in this version we say Backstage MD, so the same name, all the same if it comes to headers of it as well. Just, I moved it to adopt this time because for some reason we say that it is already something good. So the build is in progress.
So to make the change, you have to create the new version. Let's say copy and paste the previous file and make changes in this file.
Yes, or you can just, I wanted to show something like, the incremental part of it, but you don't have to do it. You can just fix the previous version and it's statically generated. So it will think, it's not that smart. The smartness comes from the generation itself because there's no database, so it doesn't track the changes, right? Okay, so while this is in progress, we'll take a short break and come back to you in a moment. Okay, and we are back. The deployment went through. So we can also check the artifact, to be honest, at the same time. Oh, it's a zip file, so it's not the best idea, but it's effectively just a HTML with JavaScript that was generated out of that. So the deployment went through. We've updated that. Let's go to the technology radar. Let's refresh it. You can see it's version 3. And in this version 3, we also can see most of stuff is now stale. It didn't change at all, but one of them is changed, the Backstage. So if I would click on the Backstage, you can see that it is already proven to be good and it has the same tags, but you can see it has revisions in it. So this is the old description of that Backstage. So what happened before, we also have here, and the whole history of that technology.
Nice.
Okay, and
I like it.
One last thing, it can be either hidden by behind your Active Directory, right, with the reroutes for the static web app, or it can be also public. I encourage you to make it public. I'm thinking about doing it for myself, like to just assess what I've learned over the years and just, add my notes in here to have my own technology radar. All the credits go to to ThoughtWorks for the idea of Technology Radar, to AOE for creating that amazing generator tool, and to Microsoft for creating static web apps in Azure, so we can host it for free. There is a paid tier as well, obviously, because why not? It's a bit more advanced, but for our needs, just the free one is more than enough. And yeah, that's basically it. I hope it will be useful. What do you think, Grzegorz? Do you like it? Do you don't like it? Do you consider creating your
I
own?
really like it. Yeah, I will consider that. Definitely. My own, like, personal one may be interesting for like the community. And also thinking about creating the one in my work to track the internal technologies we are using. I like that you have previous revisions, so you have also the tracking for how technology is changing from where to where it's going, and also that you can have one source of which is a GitHub repository where you can create a pull request, you can discuss with the team what you created, and you have that one source also of the knowledge and of all of the communication which happened.
Yes,
it could also play part as like the pull request to that repository can be a part of ADR, architecture decision record, could be referenced, for example, one by another. So yeah, definitely I like that.
It's also important that it's not only for the external things. You can also document in it some internal libraries, for example. So if you create a new library and you want to like broadcast that message to different teams, because you have multiple different teams, and you want to somehow have the source of what are we using in the project, what platform supports, if we have created a new service that everybody should be using or start using and it is in assess because it's like a non-stable version yet, then this is a great place to communicate that and just to meet from time to time with all the teams or the leaders of the teams, for example, and decide, okay, what do we put in the next version, and then create a pull request with all of that and maybe contribute to a feature branch, and then all of that goes into the new version, for example, from time to time. So you can, aggregate all of those technologies over time and then merge everything from that branch to that like once a month or something like that to create a new version. So it's really worth to mention that it is a useful tool, and we really encourage you to have an internal technology radar as well. All right, you've been listening to ITT. You've been watching ITT episode. We are used to record
ITT,
the podcast.
Not AJTITI. It's YAML, not YML.
Yeah, that's true. Although the file extension was YML.
Yeah, sure.
So we hope you'll find it useful, and thanks for watching. You've watched Dawid Chruścielski and
Grzegorz Kotlarz.
And we are ITT. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.